figuring out the best way to motivate other people through these short meetings, through the emails, through phone calls, WhatsApps, corridor, making coffee, talking with them in the morning, understanding that the whole work and progress is done and is done not only, in time, but also in the way, right, and fashion that you believe that things should be done is very hard when you start managing managers and you're not the direct manager of, the individual contributors, right?
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. 20-Minute Leaders is a proud supporter of Make-A-Wish Israel and Tech to Peace, and is in proud collaboration with Secret Chord Ventures, J Ventures, Riverside FM, Fusion VC, Birthright Excel, J Impact, Leap, Google for Startups, and Hippo, and in media partnership with CTech. Hello and welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Today we have Alon Jackson, the CEO and co-founder of Astrix Security and a great friend of mine. Astrix Security is the first app-to-app security solution. Prior to founding Astrix, Jackson served as head of R&D group at automotive cybersecurity startup Argus, which was acquired by Continental AG. He also previously served over 12 years in strategic roles in the cybersecurity division of the Israeli military intelligence unit 8200, where he led the cloud security division. Jackson received an MSc in computer science with honors, specializing in cryptography. Alon Jackson, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm doing awesome. Well, you're relocating in about 2 weeks, so you must be hectic, and it's 10 p.m. right now wherever you are doing this interview. So obviously, life as an entrepreneur is fun and interesting. Alon, you're working on some really cool company. We know each other from our IDF service, where you were managing some phenomenal work. And quite a lot of people, and so it was no surprise to me when shortly after you left, you announced that you're building an amazing company with phenomenal investors, and an amazing friend of mine is working with you, and so that's all I need to know, that what you're building is incredible. Tell me a little bit about Astrix, and then I want to go back to you and your own journey, and then connect all the dots together.
Yeah, amazing. First of all, thanks very much for the warm words. And I think first and foremost with Astrix, what really makes Astrix is, of course, the people, like you said. So not only good friends, but amazing people and amazing technology. So really what we're doing, we're creating the first app-to-app security platform to really change how applications today integrate and connect to enterprises. You know how you have all these apps today on your mobile phone, right, that asks for permissions to access your contacts or access your photos. And you're like, why does this flashlight actually need to, delete my contacts? This is kind of permissions. So it's really that, but on the enterprise level, right? We're finding hundreds and thousands of such connections in between different third parties, in between different apps, right? To core systems of organizations. And this is really what we're here to secure. That's kind of in a nutshell.
Amazing. So now take me back a little bit to your own background, a technologist by training, then, manager for quite some time in a very high-paced, critical environment. What has your own journey been like leading up to Astrix?
Yeah. So before Astrix, actually, I left A200, the cybersecurity unit, and I joined Argus, an automotive cybersecurity company. So I led the R&D group over there. Really what we did is kind of, hacking into cars and then trying to fix it, of course. And I learned a lot there from an amazing group of founders. So that was the last couple of years. I think it was important for both myself and my partner, Idan, to leave the A200 bubble and learn a thing or two outside in the industry before building our own baby. And before that, so over 11 years at A200, so quite a long army career there, left as a manager. Yeah, I think A200, I'm sure you know it, and most probably a lot of the audience. is really the best school in the world for technology, right? And for really management in, in stressful situations, in a lot of uncertainty situations. So it's a good school, to grow up as both a technologist and a manager, I think. My last position there, so I was really in charge of the cloud operations. So this, of course, has a lot to do in what we're doing with Astrix, just from the other side of the coin. For that, so many different leadership positions, hand-on position. I can see you're smiling because you know a lot about what was going on there. Yeah, so that's a kind of in a
So,
nutshell.
if you're taking me into your brain and you're taking me into the way that, Jackson is thinking about things, what do you get really excited about in general? When it comes to this professional world, where do you find your own joy and excitement if you look over these, let's say, last 15 years or so?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, and maybe despite the word professional, despite the word technology everywhere, I think what I'm excited the most is really the generations of team leaders and people that I've worked with, both in Argus, managed like 4 teams, and all team leaders are good friends of mine. Today, some of them, grew to be their own entrepreneurs today, CTOs, head of groups themselves. Amazing people, you kind of take with you along the way. Also, before that, at A200, so I managed a couple of teams with, amazing people who you can see them really progress, right? You could see them sometimes start as tech leads, then become first managers. I think that's the biggest thing. It's all about people, right? And growing together and growing your network together. I think that's the part that really excites me the most. And thinking about being a founder, I think it's really the opportunity to build something from the ground up, right? Build the organization you always believed you want to have, and have, a good company that people enjoy, right? Enjoy coming into and fulfilling themselves. And I think that's the biggest kind of opportunity and joy that I kind of, the privilege that I had both here and before.
All right. Are you ready to dive deep into what you're doing?
Sure.
Let's do it. So, app to app integrations. Let's paint a picture so that everybody's on the same page. What is the world that we're living in now that makes app to app security an important part of what's happening?
Yeah. So really apps are becoming more and more like platforms today. So they enable end users to build and connect on top of them. It could be, from the business side that add, extensions, add-ons, plugins, stuff like that. It could be engineers that generate API keys, tokens. These are all really different words that actually mean abilities to integrate and work in a more automatic way and not manual, of course, with our apps. And really, this is important for the large applications because it makes them sticky, right? Building on top of them makes, it really, they are sure that, you won't be able to leave very easily. It's a growth engine for them because there's a lot of innovation being built on top of these platforms. And the end users today, they just add new apps from bottom up, right? The IT is really democratizing. So there's not always a procurement process, there's not always a security process when adding new third parties, new apps on top of enterprise accounts. And really no app today is, worth when in silo, right? Data is only worth when shared. And this is the kind of world we live in, where everything is interconnected with everything via API. And this is the kind of world that Astrix is enabling to both map, monitor, and secure.
Right. So it's critical that we have that security layer. How do you productize something like that? So when you actually think about, the world and where Astrix is coming into these organizations, what are some potential products that are relevant in the space here?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to kind of think about it is that there's so many solutions out there for user access, right? But there's nothing to help organizations today manage and secure all the non-user access that they have, right? And there's single sign-on, there's 2FA, all these kind of security mechanisms that help today manage and control really how users access core platforms. But the APIs really go under the radar, right? There's nothing to help security managers today get visibility into what's going on there. And really what we're doing in Astrix is enabling them for the first time, right? Both get the visibility, governance, and of course, automatic remediation into how all their third parties are interconnected with each other. Yeah. And actually the last year was crazy in terms of different kind of hacks. We had GitHub that was hacked via third parties from Heroku and Travis CI. Yeah, it was quite a famous one not long ago. Before that, we had MailChimp. Before that, we had Okta. Before that, we had Kokov. All these are just names of incidents of third parties, right, that were hacked. And really, we call it service supply chain. That's the kind of what's going on, right? It's different services that really interconnect with each other.
Right. And so as you're approaching the market and obviously, you're growing fast. You mentioned you're more than 20 people now, just a year later. So it's pretty phenomenal. But what's the reception like? I mean, where are there, is the market ready for this? Do CISOs and people just generally really understand the pain point here? What are you in terms of the timing on your analysis?
Yeah. So really, we're seeing the API ecosystem exploding, right? And the last attacks, like in the last year, are crazy. So we're kind of laughing sometimes at saying, maybe Astrix is behind some of these attacks. But no, it's actually just a huge wave that, on the one side, it's not a good thing, right? But it really means that there's a place for that. We already have, large paying customers, public companies, really amazing companies so far. And, it's becoming easier and easier as also we progress, right? Today I find, when I ask a CISO, do you manage user access to your critical systems? And the answer is like 99%. Yes, of course I do. And then you ask like, do you manage API access to your critical systems? And they're like, Jackson, what are you talking about, right? Let's talk.
Right.
So it's kind of that easy to understand that there's a big gap in most organizations, simply because they don't have the tools to actually deal with it, right? So a lot of the time they know that they have the problem, and we did talk actually with some enterprises that really looked for this kind of tool, tried to build it by themselves, right? Tried to manually figure out, and when we came over, it was like, this was something that we've been struggling with in the past year, and that's I think the most amazing response a founder can get. Yeah.
I love it. So take me the vision of Astrix a few years down the line. What is the role that Astrix is playing in the security space? And, because essentially what you're also part of you're saying, we understand that there's this trend where we have these growing apps as platforms, it's this whole decentralization process that now every company is using an abundance of these third-party apps, and you're tackling one of the underlying issues that are going to perhaps inhibit some companies from growing as fast as they want to grow, or to get the compliance that they need, etc. So you're effectively pushing, the envelope to allow companies to do this faster and safer. What is the vision for Astrix down the line, and what is the impact this is going to have on the industry, if you had to imagine?
Yeah, sure. So really, we're going into a world where we're going to have more and more third parties, right? And the value is only provided when, integrating them with each other and them playing with each other in the enterprise level. And this is really what pushes automation. This is what pushes productivity forward. And you think like of the cloud wars, right? So we have these big cloud platforms, and they're being challenged by more and more other platforms. So it's going to be fragmented, and they're going to have to learn to play with each other, just like we're seeing that is happening. And Astrix is really going to be the glue, right, between all these different cloud services, because each cloud service may do a best job, right, with itself and its platform and how things work with internally. But between them, that's a hard place to manage, especially for large organizations. So really being the integration hub, right, being the port in which enterprises are connecting with third parties, because this is where innovation comes in. This is where productivity comes in. You can't really stop that. You can't really stop the business from running forward. And it's complex. It's a mess. And this cross-cloud connectivity really is only going to get even more complex as times goes by. And really, we want to help CISOs, so security managers, progress from being, gatekeepers into productivity enablers, right? So enabling their businesses to actually adopt, enabling them to connect and build, right, in a more secure way. In regards, to what they can do today. Today, it's either yes or no, right? It's kind of binary. And now they can say yes, but, through Astrix, right? So that's a big thing. That's a big change in the physics of how things are enabled today.
So you've gotten a chance to manage and reset again quite a few teams over these last 15 years, right? And you've had these opportunities to sort of reset your management style and rethink because you've either joining a new organization, creating a new organization. So if you're thinking now about what you've learned about yourself, your own leadership style, the things that are important to you, things that you realize now are less important than you thought they were, take me into Alon's world of leadership. What have you learned over these years?
Yeah. I think the most important thing I learned is letting go. That's the truth. Kind of delegating and thinking, do I really have to be here? Do I have to be the one that does this? This really empowers, right? Empowers your folks to do more by themselves and really enables you to look forward. So this is something, as the first time managing managers, you have to really practice and kind of get into the state of mind of delegating. But I think the more maybe interesting thing, maybe a good story. I remember the first time I managed team leads. So we had, a big meeting at my office, and there were maybe 10 people. Some of them were my team leads, some of them from other teams, from other groups and everything. And, we planned how we're going to break down this project and make it happen. And, in no time we have to win, right? That's how things are always done. And then, after maybe half an hour, quite a quick discussion, everybody kind of left the room. And I stayed there by myself. I really remember the kind of loneliness of staying by myself in the office. And everybody was, running out there in their different offices, doing what we just decided we have to do. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, so are they actually going to do it the way, I want them to do it, or I believe they should do it? Is the spirit there, right? What's going on in the other rooms? And kind of figuring out the best way to motivate other people through these short meetings, through the emails, through phone calls, WhatsApps, corridor, making coffee, talking with them in the morning, understanding that the whole work and progress is done and is done not only, in time, but also in the way, right, and fashion that you believe that things should be done is very hard when you start managing managers and you're not the direct manager of, the individual contributors, right? I remember this kind of first time. And from then, you really start thinking, via culture. What kind of culture do I build? What kind of mentorship do I provide to my managers, right? For them to really guide their guys. What kind of KPIs, right, do I point to and put them as general and as far as possible, right? That's kind of, I think, the basic tools that you really develop across the years.
Incredible. Alon, if you had to think of what do you enjoy most in your day-to-day, the thing you enjoy most in your journey, what comes to mind? Where do you find the most fulfillment?
Yeah. So I think it's kind of a motive that goes really through a lot of this talk, but really it's people, right? First and foremost, the team, really a team of amazing people who joined the journey. First of all, I'd say, my partner, start with that. So we know each other for a long time. And when I say actually a long time, it's not 5 years or 10 years, it's over 15 years now.
Wow.
So we were recruited. Yeah, we were recruited together to an army, excellence military academy called Chavatzalot. So we spent a long time. We even lived together, 6 years. Half of that, the army enforced us. The other 3 years was, our own free will of living together. We did quite a lot. Idan, my co-founder and CTO, he also served over a decade in A200. Actually left the unit. Also joined the cybersecurity startup over here. Deep Instinct, the company does machine learning based endpoint protection. The last couple of years, so kind of joining forces after that. We learned a lot, both at the unit and from the industry. And we brought, more importantly, maybe from the kind of a technological diversity, is the network diversity, right? Amazing people who kind of came very quick, and just like in maybe 2 weeks, we had eight guys joining us. And the first, I remember the first customer deployment in only 3 weeks. So everything kind of runs very fast when you have amazing people with you. So I think the first and foremost is the co-founder, right? The team. Then amazing customers that really start up as good design partners, right? That you trust and you see eye to eye and believe, first of all, foremost, again, you as people, right? Your ability to execute, your vision, and really enable you to, they give their time, right? They give you their data. In the beginning, you don't really have a product, right? Just the will and the vision. So that's, an amazing step of trust from customers, and then amazing investors. So both the guys from F2 here in Israel and Bessemer, also the Israeli guys in Bessemer, followed by Venrock, a Bay Area VC fund, and some amazing cybersecurity angels that joined this round. So really, we're so happy, to have them as our backers. And again, it all comes down to people that believe in you, believe in your ability to execute. I think that's the best thing, spending most of my time really talking, inspiring, motivating, pushing forward everyone. I think that's the main role, right? And that's what I enjoy the most.
Alon, best of luck with Asteris. Thank you so much for the time. Such an awesome journey, amazing problem space. Can't wait to see what happens with this company, and hope that it makes a large impact on this industry. So thank you again. Best of luck, and stay safe and stay healthy, and good luck on the relocation.
Thank you very much, Michael. Thanks for having me here.